Happy Friday and welcome to Cosplay Cafe. Please enjoy these ads before we get the show rolling.
I've been a superhero for a long time. It used to be so simple. You catch the bad guys, do the right thing, save the world. Then I met Aiden, and things got complicated.
Iris recruited me as a kid and turned me into their own personal weapon. I couldn't see any way out until I met Marty. But now we're going to burn their entire organization down if we can.
Forces of Nature, books 1 and 2, Scorcher and Thin Ice are available now wherever books are sold online. See www.kellyguentner.com.
Pokeballs by Crayley is your one-stop shop for handmade magical creations that celebrate all the Pokemon universe has to offer. Available on CrayleyVanest.com, that's CrayleyVanest.com, and possibly coming to a con near you. All right, welcome to the show. Tonight we're going to be talking couples cosplay with one of my favorite duos. They are Ace and Abbi, aka That's So Cosplay. If you're not following them, you're going to be by the end of this episode because they are awesome. They're from the Chicagoland area, and I just really love them, and you're going to love them too. So welcome, Ace and Abbi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, how are you two doing tonight?
Doing all
Good.
right, doing good. Ace has a little bit of a cold,
It'll be okay.
so feeling a little hoarse.
Mhm.
I might end up doing more of the talking.
That is understandable. I have already had 2 rough colds this year. 2025 is not my year. Let's just put it that way. That's why I haven't been on many episodes. We already have our first comment from Melody Jasmine Desjardins, who is one of my favorite viewers of the show. I mean, all the viewers are my favorite, but I adore it. Melody, she's been a guest a few times. Melody says, bonjour from Fort Wayne, Indiana, as always. Hi, Melody. If anyone is going to be at Indy Comic-Con, I hope to see you there. I won't be, but I am in Indiana right now.
I've heard that's a good one, but we've never been down there.
It is good. I had fun last time I went, and I keep wanting to go back, and the stars have not aligned. So first things first, the theme of our episode is duo/couples cosplay. So let's talk about, let's first talk about how you two each got into cosplay, and then we'll get into the topic.
Yeah. We were told to show up in costumes, so we're the Janets from The Good Place. Good Janet and Bad Janet.
You look so cute. Love it.
Cosplay for today. We got into cosplay kind of together.
Yeah.
So I always was interested in costumes, and I loved dressing up for things like midnight movie release, book release, spirit days of school, stuff like that. And Ace wasn't into that kind of stuff. But I barely had the chance to go to any cons through like college and stuff because I was too busy. So it was after we like got married and bought a house and stuff that we like finally made it to starting to go to costuming stuff and Comic Cons. So we kind of like threw together a really last minute Star Wars costume for Wizard World Chicago Con one time, and then we had such a great experience that we were hooked. Just like all the good feelings of people stopping you for photos and telling you how awesome you look, even though in hindsight I don't think I looked that awesome. But it, was enough to get us hooked.
Mm-hmm.
The first taste.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And so how did you two, do you mind if I ask how you two met?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we met in high school. We actually went to 2 different high schools, though. But Abbi was going to a youth group, and one of my friends invited me to that youth group just to test it out and try it out. And that's within the first 2 or 3 weeks, we're hanging out of the youth group. And
yeah, but we didn't start dating at all for more than a year.
Yeah.
It kind of was like we would see each other at the youth group every week, and then we started chatting on AM every night when I was doing my homework. And then, like, several months later, we started, like, hanging out a lot, just, like, doing random stuff because Ace had a car and I didn't have my license yet. And so you would just show up to whatever I wanted to do.
Yep.
Aww.
And then, and for a long time, though, we maintained that we were just friends for a long time. It felt like I was crushing on some other boy, and Ace was my supportive friend trying to help me out with that. And then after I broke up with that boy, I was like, oh, I actually really like Ace.
That's so cute.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been together since 2008.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Aw,
Half our lives.
that is so sweet. And a couple that cosplays together stays together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's kind of one of my main pros of cosplaying as a couple is like it's just like a really fun activity to do together.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. And since I'm not on my computer, I don't have your outline that you sent me. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Do you want to post it in our private chat, or do you just want to
Okay.
kind of go?
I'll send you the link again.
That would be great.
Yeah.
For the viewers at home who don't know, I am in Indiana because I'm visiting Crayley, who had her baby. Yay!
Woo!
You all may have been wondering where Crayley has been for the last almost year. I mean, you haven't been because we've mentioned it. Crayley has been pregnant and her pregnancy was difficult. And she finally had her baby this week. And so, of course, I had to come down and meet my niece.
Mm-hmm.
Can confirm she is super precious and is one of the cutest babies I've ever met.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay. Speaking of babies, you want to see one of our kids?
yes.
Yeah.
Always. The answer to that is always yes. Oh, so cute. Oh my gosh. I haven't explained this on air, but my New Year's resolution, I decided to make a silly one this year.
Yeah.
Or a fun one. And my New Year's resolution is to go to people's houses, invited. I should explain. And take pictures with people's pets. I forget the number that I set for myself, but I have to take pictures with so many pets. And if I don't reach my goal, I keep joking that I'm going to go out in the woods and take pictures with random raccoons. So y'all, not you two specifically, but anyone watching just needs to invite me over to take pictures with your pets because I'm at 6 right now.
Nice.
Wow.
Well, if you take a screenshot of this, it almost counts, right?
Yes. Okay, it does count. I think it needs to count because my husband does not want me going into the woods and grabbing raccoons because you don't know how animal crazy I am. I might actually do that. We sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but we have these giant sandhill cranes in our backyard that I'm obsessed with. And one of them, luckily I was at home, but one of them actually tapped on our back glass door with their beak, knocking. And I asked my husband, I was like, why didn't you let it in?
I would have the same reaction.
These things are majestic. They're 4 feet tall. If you've never seen a sandhill crane, they're gorgeous birds. They're super majestic. I got to see them doing a bonding dance. They're a family of 3. I got to see them doing a bonding dance a few months ago, and it was beautiful. Yeah, I'm an old crazy bird lady. Okay, so we're gonna get back to cosplay now. I'm sorry, but that's my crazy New Year's resolution. So apparently people need to.
That's a really good New Year's resolution.
It's the best. I've been having fun. It's way better than like lose weight because I'm not going to do that. That's weird. So, anyways, about
to answer your
cosplay.
introductory questions. Thanks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, what is one tool that you absolutely have to have in your cosplay workshop all the time that you think is just necessary?
Like what we work with when we're making costumes?
Yeah, it can be anything. I've gotten some interesting answers to this, but what's something that it's just your must-have for your cosplay builds?
Probably my sewing machine. But if you're thinking of something more random than that.
I mean, creatively, our roll of butcher paper has been a real big godsend.
Yes, the most obvious one I use the sewing machine a lot, but we bought like one of those big rolls of like brown paper at Menards forever ago, and we use that for
patterning and drawing out things, and
like a base layer on the table, like a protective coating, like cover on like our work tables and things.
Mhm, yeah.
Spray painting, gluing, whatever. It's just a roll of brown paper.
Mhm.
Oh, nice.
That's a good tip that we've used a lot.
Yeah, it's like strong enough where like it won't rip easily, and like if you use Sharpie or a pencil or a pen, it stays on it really well.
Doesn't bleed.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's a random tip there.
I like that.
Alternately, you could just keep the brown paper that comes like sometimes in packages. It's similar to that, but
yes,
but it's on a roll instead of like crumpled up. But if you were being thrifty, I would save the packaging paper from boxes. Because that's before this.
All of us cosplayers need to be thrifty, but also my first thought was, ew, wrinkled up paper. It would bug me. I love saving money, but
it would work well for like protective surface under painting and stuff, but not so well if you wanted to like pattern things very neatly.
Yeah.
Agreed. But let's go through your outline because you really prepped, and I respect that. Abbi is
so I
really prepared.
Really organized.
She's awesome.
I was kind of like visualizing this as something that could be a panel someday for like conventions. So like it was like I had the ideas floating in my head, and since you asked for a topic, I was like, this could be something fun to share. So I outlined it as the pros and cons of cosplaying as a couple. So kind of some good and bad things about working with someone else as a cosplay partner. So for the sake of all this, like a couple doesn't have to be a romantic couple. So in our case, we are a married couple, but it could be a sibling or like a parent-child duo or like best friends duo, roommates, something like that. And I think most of the pros and cons will apply to all of those, whether or not it's a romantic couple or not.
There's a lot of Instagram accounts that also use pets as their cosplay partner as well. They'll dress up their fur babies and whatnot, so that's always an option too.
I
don't know if as many of these will. Yeah, I think most of these pros and cons apply to humans.
Some we could still apply to for a baby.
And then I also want to
fur babies have less agency though.
Yeah, they're not gonna help you like
make things. Yeah, but
unless they're the mice from Cinderella.
Yes.
Does anyone know where to get those mice?
Exactly.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Go on.
Cat to make something. No, if anyone could, maybe if you let your cat or dog do some kind of finger painting or something, then they would contribute. But I don't know if that would actually help you get something done faster. No. And then like in terms of how people like form a cosplay partnership, it could be someone that you met through cosplay. It could be someone that you both started cosplaying together, kind of like us. Or it could be one cosplayer convincing their non-cosplayer partner to join them in it. Well, that's kind of what happened to us. A mixture of that. So if you want, anyone in the audience, if you want to form a cosplay partnership, you got options there. You can either try and find somebody, recruit somebody that you meet in the cosplay community, or try to talk someone else into the hobby. How did you and Crayley start cosplaying together?
So we met through a mutual friend at a con they were my con friends, and they were actually they kind of took Crayley under their wing and they got her into cosplay. They're kind of like parental types to Crayley. Like they're friends, but parental types also. And they noticed that Crayley was the college student who kind of needed a hobby because she was a workaholic. And they're like, we're gonna get you to a con. You need to do something fun. And so they had gotten her into cosplay, and then a few years later, I met them, and they started bringing Crayley to this con. And at first, I thought Crayley was their kid, actually, but Crayley and I, it happens a lot because she looks like their daughter, and and Crayley and I just like perma bonded, and we're like, okay, well, we love a lot of the same characters and fandoms, and then we just started doing photo shoots together, and Crayley had started a Patreon. I was like, can I get in on that? Because I don't want to do it by myself. And I think it would be more fun to do it together. And next thing we know, we're just like Phoenix sisters.
Yeah. So you formed that partnership after meeting through cosplay.
Exactly. And, the rest is history. And we're codependent as all get out. And it's wonderful.
Yeah. That's awesome. So my first pro on the list is if you're cosplaying as a couple, you don't have to go to any events alone. So if you were like had never been to Comic Cons or anything and you were scared to go alone, like finding a partner to cosplay with you and spend the whole day with you is a big pro of cosplaying together. The majority of the time I'll mention we usually cosplay like characters that go together. I mean, it's definitely not required of your cosplay partner, but we almost always try to choose characters that go together. And then we spend like 99% of the time together at events.
Yeah.
Usually. So we don't have to like brave it out there alone. But here.
So one con of that. Yeah.
Speaking of Curly, Curly's just getting to tune in from the other room. And real quick, just want to say hi to James Lael. He says, hello, friends. Hi, James.
Yay.
We love James. Another Chicagoan.
The downside of you don't have to go to an event alone.
Yeah. So if you're going with a partner or going with a friend, there could be a chance where you might not branch out or make new friends or meet other people. You might just stick together. That kind of happened to us for about 4 years. We would be always hanging out. People come up to us, say hi, we like your cosplay, take a photo, and then they'd walk away. And Abby will be like, I recognize them. They look cool. They like the same things we do. Do you want to talk to them? And I would always.
It's so hard to just like start talking to other cosplayers at a convention, and I think we kind of like didn't delve further into the community because we
defaulted just to ourselves. So it was definitely hard to like break that ice and like make that first step forward. But once Abby was like, no, we're going to make all the friends. We're just going to know everyone because we recognize them. We all go to the same events. So
yeah, I think it was like once we joined like CWC and then also found Cos Meetup, those we found kind of in the same time period in 2021. Those helped us actually build relationships with other cosplayers because when we only went to conventions 2 or 3 times a year, even if we did kind of introduce ourselves to people, we didn't like get to know them.
That makes sense.
But yeah, when you have a partner with you, you're not as motivated necessarily to make new friends.
Because you're, like you said, you're already socializing with each other. You don't have the need. I have a really good memory of you two at a cos meetup when I was first getting to know you, where I was on my way out, but you were like, everyone was sitting on the grass and you were just like, hey, you can sit with us because you're always like so welcoming like that. It was really nice. And that was when I was newer to the Chicago, like getting to know the Chicago people. And you really like made a point to make me feel welcome and make sure I had a place to sit. And that was nice of you.
Oh, good. Yeah. I think it's absolutely like a domino effect, making friends in the cosplay community. Yeah. And like once we met a few people, then like they introduced us to their friends. And so now we want to be a big part of that domino chain where we introduce everybody that we meet to everybody we meet.
It's easier if you're an extrovert, though, and if you're an introvert, it's hard. Or if one of you is an introvert, it's harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be the one being like, "Hey, I recognize those people from last con. Let's go talk to them." And it's just like, "No, I don't want to."
They're doing their own thing. We're doing our own thing.
Yeah.
We can do that separately. But no, I mean, ever since, 2020, 2021, just integrating ourselves into those communities have been really huge and a big part of our lives. And we just enjoyed it so much.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so that's the pro and con of going to an event with a partner. The next item on the list would be if cosplay is like a big activity that we do together, then like that's a lot of good quality time. So like it's a fun event to do on weekends. It's a interesting problem to tackle when we're making new costumes or like sewing or sanding things together. So that's really great in terms of like quality time. We're not necessarily doing separate hobbies and ignoring each other on our off time.
I mean, that also means you can spend too much time together. There's definitely been times where Abby will be sewing a big project and she'd be like, "You want to just hang out with me so I have someone else in the room?" And I'm like, "Well, I have to do this or I have to work on this too, but I guess I'll hang out with you." So
could be too much time.
Yeah.
Or if you're getting frustrated with a project, sometimes that bleeds out onto each other, I'm sure.
Yeah. If the cosplay becomes such a big part of your life that it's overstressing everything. Yeah, that's possible. So, is there such thing as too much time together?
No.
I mean, for us, there's kind of a balance because we work different shift times.
Yeah.
I work night shifts 3 days a week. So, in a sense, then we do have different times we're home separately alone together. So not like we're spending 100% of our time together.
That makes sense. Because even when you're like happily married, sometimes you do need your own space. Like I adore my husband, but cosplay has become my thing, even though he like started out doing it with me. And it's kind of nice for it's nice for me to have my own thing too. Like he still lets me vent when I'm having a cosplay project go wrong.
Yeah.
and he'll troubleshoot with me, like, but there. But we also have stuff we do together, so like,
yeah,
you need to have that balance, and it sounds like you two have a good balance, which is awesome.
Yeah, where we kind of have an ongoing discussion about how many events or things that we might want to do to keep it balanced.
That's good.
Or to find other, things to take a break, like a Lego set or going to movies or other things, so that we're not only working on cosplay or cosplay events.
Wait, what? There's stuff outside of cosplay? No one told me.
Here's one big pro we found when we cosplayed costumes that go together, is that by definition of being two of us, it's more recognizable or eye-catching. So if one of the costumes, like maybe if Bad Janet just wearing like a leather jacket and wig might not be as recognizable on their own, or like certain characters that you like, but they might not be recognized. If you have a more unique or distinct or colorful costume with you, that'll clue people in.
Yeah.
And even when we were much more amateur with our costume creations or things that might not have been impressive on their own, when people see two of the same franchise characters, they maybe ask for more photos or stop and talk to you more.
It also, in my experience, makes it easier to pose for photos, because when you're posing by yourself, you're so limited in what you can do. But when you have another person to play off of, it's so much more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. That was one of my down at the bottom.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. This isn't like a presentation that we have to follow, but I 100% agree with that. You are on the same wavelength. Yeah, we love doing like two different characters that go together. The downside of that, so the upside and downside is like when you're choosing like two costumes that go together. sometimes a pair will really jump out of the screen, like, oh, that couple, we'd love to do that. But sometimes that can be more limiting. So sometimes you like love a franchise, but there aren't two characters that would be an easy cosplay. Whether that's like there's tons of series that don't have very many female characters.
Oh, yeah.
And so like there may be like one main female character, but now that we're looking for two female characters, it's a little harder to find a duo like that go together. But there are still some really good ones. And on the topic of like gender limitations, it doesn't have to be a limitation in cosplay. That there have been times where each of us did like a gender swap costume, or like Our Flag Means Death. We did that one with both men costumes, and then you can also gender bend characters, like our Star Wars ball gowns that we used for the.
Yes, let me pull those up real quick. 1 second.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I've been having to remind you to pick any pictures.
I'm sorry. I've been so
Are they
distracted.
on your computer yet?
I think you sent those to me. I'm sorry. So the just to let you know what I'm looking at, the these are really small little tabs. Okay. So I don't think
the Star Wars ball gown was the one that was submitted under the one you wanted for the promo photo.
Yes.
And that was
I don't think I uploaded it. I'm so sorry.
Okay. That's okay. So you have the other 5, I think.
I do. I have the other ones. So you all just need to look at the promo photo.
Yeah,
to see the beautiful
that's what I'm referencing right now.
Yep.
My friend Claire had made this ball gown of Boba Fett from Star Wars. And,
gorgeous.
After using it for several years, she was moving and offered to sell it to me. And then in conjunction with that, I made a Han Solo ball gown version for Ace. So that would be what are the two? There's gender bending and
crossplay.
Okay, gender bending would be turning a male character into a female costume, specifically, and crossplay would be like someone that identifies as female dressing up as a male character without making specific changes to the costume. Okay, I'm trying to remember. So we've done both of those.
Yep. And the terminology, I feel like, is getting it's changing a bit, or just because gender is so fluid that not everyone likes to use crossplay anymore.
Yeah.
But it's still accepted, but the terminology gets a little loosey-goosey.
Well, do you want to talk about your gender journey?
Yeah, so when was that? Ace in 2022? Yeah. So back when COVID was happening, like a lot of people, being isolated and everything, there was the idea of wanting to explore who I really am. And in was it like January of 2022, I asked Abby, I was like, hey, what if we dressed as Sailor Moon characters? And Abby's like, I don't know what
Sailor Moon.
She didn't know really what the show was and everything. And I was like, well, it's a really good show. It's all female characters, and there's some characters that we can relate to. There's a really smart one. There's a really strong one. There's a really, they all have very strong personalities that relate to who they are as a character. And I think you would relate to Mercury because she's really smart and intelligent. It would be really fun for me to dress up as Jupiter because she's really strong, and some of the characters kind of call her having like manly features and the kind of like old 90s way of saying that. And I was like, that would be a really fun cosplay for me to do. And Abby was like, okay, I guess. And she didn't want to do it until she actually saw the show, and I actually showed her the first season of Sailor Moon from the 90s, and she's like, yeah, this would be a fun cosplay to do. So doing that, and then
I feel like we need to back up a little more for that. For anyone listening that doesn't know, so you were living as male, and we were cosplaying male-female duos exclusively for the first 5 years.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, and then just for basic foundation, we'll finish the story. A year ago, you came out and started your
transitioning.
Yeah. So she, her pronouns, and you're using the name Ace
Yes.
was the permanent nickname that you've been using for the last 15 years or so.
Yeah.
So she's legally changed her name, but she's always been known as Ace, so people are a little confused about like, oh, you changed your name, but what do I call you? No, you're still Ace. So that's the fact. Now you can go back to your journey. Sorry, just so people are confused.
So that was in
2022.
Yeah, so that was kind of the first cosplay that I did that wasn't like quote unquote conforming to my gender, but I was still like, well, this is a really fun cosplay. I really identified with that character. I had a lot of fun. But we still kind of continued dressing as traditional. You know, Abby would dress as the female, I dress as the male. And then what was the next one? I mean, I guess
spring 2022 was the Han Solo ball gown. Which again, like I'd been like kind of proposing like, oh, a Han Solo costume or something like that, and you were like,
well, can I match your?
Can I have a ball gown?
Yeah,
too?
Can I match your style?
And I said, okay, I guess, sure, if that's what you want.
Yeah, I couldn't picture myself in like antebellum like men's costume. I was like, no, it has to be a ball gown. It has to match yours. That would.
Just want it to be a ball gown. I didn't want to.
You know what? Fair. Ball gowns are awesome.
Yes.
And then when we went to Dragon Con, you did a Bunny Hutch version of Link.
Link, yes.
Link and Zelda.
Yep.
And they have a traditional like first night party as Playboy bunnies, and use that. I want to do a bunny too.
Fair.
And so you hadn't officially come out to me at that point, but you were asking for more female costumes like this, and I was kind of going along with it. Wait until you were ready to explain.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
and then.
And how does that make you feel?
Well, it felt great. I mean, in the cosplay community in itself, like there's so many different peoples in different walks of life, and everyone wants to be who they are, or they want to be the character they want to be, and just having that expression in the cosplay community is so welcoming. It's literally like one of the greatest communities we've grown into and been a part of, and I think it's just really freeing because anyone could be anyone in this community. You know, you don't have to conform to who you look like or what you sound like or anything like that. I mean,
yeah, I think everyone was really supportive of all those costumes even before Ace came out. Like we have plenty of friends that are trans or genderqueer in the cosplay community, but nobody was like forcing Ace to explain anything. It was like, you look awesome in that costume, regardless of whether or not you actually were trans. It was like, you can cosplay as a woman and do what you want without having to explain anything or defend anything, and there wasn't any ugly comments at all.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I really like about the cosplay community too. It gives people the space to explore who they are without demanding explanations, which someone on the outside looking in might not realize that, because we're dressing up as characters who aren't necessarily us, but almost always cosplayers pick characters that we relate to.
Yeah. In some ways, it's easier to cosplay someone that looks like you because you can be recognized with less effort.
Yeah.
In a way, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
A requirement at all.
Yeah, I feel like if you were in therapy and you give your therapist a list of the characters that you cosplay as, it's like a cheat code.
That's really funny.
I say this as someone who recently went back to therapy and like a big, big supporter of therapy. And I think, if someone needs to go to therapy, great. So now that I said this out loud, I feel like I should give my therapist a list of my characters. She would think it was funny.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, I've told my therapist all the cosplays we've done and what we're working on and what we're building towards. So
I think I ever analyzed it from what does it mean?
I also recently the book trailer in the beginning was for my books, and my friend Hollis is a literary professor, and hearing him analyze my books, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm learning so much about myself psychologically. I'm going to take a moment and just catch up on our comments before we continue.
Yeah.
Because our comment section is hopping tonight. Everyone is awesome.
Yeah, what happened to seeing them? We were in full screen mode.
Oh, that's fine. So James Lael says introvert is a gift and a curse, which agreed. Like
accurate, yeah.
I love introverts. Whenever an introvert chooses me as a friend, I'm like, I feel special. You've chosen me. He speaks for himself. James is awesome. And then Crayley McDonald says, Kelly and I also like to recreate comic panels, and that's easier with someone else to pose with.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because you don't see many solo comic panels, like occasionally, but solo comic panels with women also, no. Those are not things you want to recreate.
Yep.
And then James also says he's been cosplaying for 10 years, and these past 3 years he's been more involved with groups, and man, what a difference. Like it really
going to a con where you know a lot of people is completely different than just going to a con for the panels with celebrities. When you get to like see friends nonstop,
it's the best. It really makes me happy to like. Also, I've been getting involved with groups in my area, or greater Chicago area.
Yeah,
same thing, same experience. Like you get to know people, and then James also agrees that specifically recreating specific scenes from a show, movie, or video game characters just adds a fun twist. And James also says that gender bending is a fun concept. It is it's so fun,
really creative.
Yeah, which we love as cosplayers. And William Brian Huff popped in to say, hey, everyone. Hey, William. Hey. He's a really talented photographer in the Tennessee area. I adore him. And Misty Pierce says cosplay is a great forum for people to just be themselves, which I love. James says he knows what he'll bring up next session. See, I'm giving you all ideas. Apparently, watching this show is a guide to how to be in therapy.
Yeah.
He said his therapist already knows I'm known as John Wick, which, I feel like a therapist could have a field day unpacking that one. Psychology is one of my passions, by the way. So go on now that we're caught up on comments. I love everyone in the comment section. Y'all are great, but you go on, Abby.
I'll pay more attention to the comment section. So we can
no, that's my job. That's my job.
Yeah. So we were on the topic of like picking a duo and how that can be affected by like gender or appearance or other ways that we relate to the characters. So like sometimes we pick our costumes based on like, oh, we watched something, we really loved it. Or like the costume itself jumped out of the screen and I want to make that, I want to do that. And so a lot of times we'll be like one costume jumps out or one character and we'll be like, okay, well, who can the other person be?
Yeah.
And vice versa. And maybe have to kind of bend backwards to find a character that matches with them or something. For a long time, I almost exclusively cosplay characters with long brown hair. Wonder Woman, Arwen, Janet, what else? Ray, Leia, because I just was afraid of wigs. I could only picture bad wigs. And I was just afraid of wigs, so I kept my hair long.
Those Party City wigs are scarring, right?
Yeah. I was scared of wigs, so I only cosplayed characters that looked like me. And now I use wigs, so I prefer wigs. I think they usually look better than my own hair, especially in photos. So even like sometimes with Janet, I have a brown hair wig too, instead of blow drying my own hair.
Mhm.
Because they
Fair.
usually look better in photos. But since like gender bending and cosplay and like how you guys mentioned, like you're becoming the character that's not necessarily you. I think Ace has still said that you're comfortable dressing as some of the old previous like costumes that we had that were male characters. We're kind of assessing that as we go.
Yeah.
So
That's fair.
when Ace came out, I was like, okay, so does that mean we can't wear any of our old costumes that were male characters? But we're like kind of one by one we're building up
Mhm.
our library of female characters for Ace.
That
And
makes
the
sense.
most recent one we did was just a few weeks ago. We did a female version of Wesley from Princess Bride. I don't think I sent you that photo because I didn't have it back yet, but I posted it on Instagram today.
Oh, wait. You did send it.
Did I? I did send it. So that was the male version of Wesley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which we love the Princess Bride, and
Me
then
too.
just a few weeks ago we made like a kind of pirate lady version with like one of those like gathered skirts and a blonde wig
Yeah.
and a more feminine like eye mask.
Yes.
Still like kind of used a lot of the same things, like the same like about half the items were the same
Yeah.
ones that we wore in the male Wesley, but half of them we replaced with more feminized
Mhm.
costume pieces. So you guys can see that on our Instagram.
That makes sense.
And the other one, like the Good Place, the first few years that we
Yeah.
wore it, Ace was dressing as Derek.
Derek.
Janet's
okay.
AI fake boyfriend. Because Ace has the same kind of curly, floopy hair as that actor. So
Which also hilarious, but I gotta say, I really love the Janet and Bad Janet. Like,
Mhm.
you're
that's what a lot
rocking
of people
Bad
say.
Janet.
Yeah. Mhm.
I love it.
So
I've
we
always
replaced
wanted to
that
do
character.
Disco Janet, so maybe I'll join
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
I'll let you know next time we plan to wear these.
Yes.
But they're good, like relatively comfortable, like
Yeah.
Yes.
relatively simple but really fun costume. It's like people, like at least when we wore it to C2E2 in like 2020, 2021, we didn't get a ton of people stopping us, but the people that did were so excited
Mhm.
to recognize a Janet.
Yes. Basically, if you know, you know, and it's really exciting.
Yeah. Sometimes we build costumes that don't have like a couple's counterpart, and because we're so used to cosplaying together, it feels really odd. So
Understandable.
like, let's see, some recent examples would be like my Nicole Kidman. That one I've worn a lot, Nicole Kidman from the AMC promo. And so sometimes we just bought like an AMC t-shirt, and Daze was kind of my handler. And sometimes you wore your Barbie costume because that was kind of the blockbuster of the year. It goes along with movie theaters.
Oh yeah, that's cute.
And I recently made the 13th Doctor Weeping Angel. And
Yes.
we did put together a cosplay of Claire, the kind of main character of that episode. But for the most part, most people didn't ask for photos of us together.
Yeah.
Maybe when we're like C2E2 where people know us, they'll get photos of us together, but it was like my costume was big and impressive and you were kind of a handler costume.
Yeah, it was a very like just regular
Low key plaid dress.
Yep, 60s outfit. So if you didn't know the character, you would just be like, they're wearing regular clothes.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
And let's go through some of your pictures before we go through more of the points, just to make sure we cover these.
Yeah.
So
I don't have to get through all of my. So this was the example of a gender bending as the two pirates from our flagging stuff.
So such great costumes. Like, I love these. And then this one's really cute.
Yeah, Spider-Man and Gwen. Again, an example of kind of posing with somebody is more fun than alone.
Yes.
And Spider-Man is such a popular costume with volunteering. That was the main reason we got those. We've already got so much use out of them with customers with the cons.
Kids love Spider-Man. Like, Spider-Man.
They absolutely do.
Eternally. Yes.
Star-Lord and Gamora was one of our earliest. So I remade most of it before this photo shoot, but we originally did Starlight and Gamora in 2017, I think,
Nice.
and that was the one that just kind of jumped out of the screen. I was like, but Gamora is just so bad. I want to make that. I want to be that.
Yes.
It's so fun.
Yeah. Oh, that green paint must not have been fun. And this is the costume I met you two in.
Oh yeah. Again, like we like doing kind of romantic poses, and it like doing like a romantic couple is really fun to do those photos and get those memories. So like one of my cons later on, like a pro and con is we have like so many romantic photos together like this that like it's really easy to do like anniversary posts and cute mushy stuff like that. But then we like rarely have photos like that outside of cosplay.
That's hilarious. Aw, Beauty and the Beast.
This one I put together in 2021. So one of my next point is kind of like making two costumes is harder than one.
Yes.
So in this one, I made the dress completely from scratch for myself. But
oh my gosh.
Ace's costume is like 90. It's like majority bought.
Yeah.
Like I altered everything, and they were all separate pieces we put together. But it was not made from scratch because I just didn't have time for that for our deadline. So that's kind of the balance we put in there sometimes.
Yeah.
Is that like, I enjoy making things from scratch and stuff, but it takes a lot of time to build two costumes and have them ready for an event.
Right.
So, like, for example, with these two costumes, the mashup of Beauty and the Beast and a Dalek and a Cyberman, Abby was able to build the Dalek ball dress first. And we kind of realized it would be better not to rush the Cyberman suit until after we wanted to debut the ball dress. So, she wore the Dalek ball dress for the events, Chicago TARDIS. 2022,
Yeah.
and then it was those next 3 months is where you built the Cyberman jacket. We built the chest piece, the pants, the leg guards, and then
for C2E2.
Yep. Yeah. So it was just one of those costumes where it was easier just to focus on one, have one complete, debut that, and then we were able to build the second one for the next convention.
Yeah, I think that was the first time I made that choice. To kind of.
So, Melody is chiming in that she loves the Beauty and the Beast cosplays. Melody cosplays the Beast, and that's like one of the things. That's actually the first time we had Melody on the show. That was the big thing that she talked about. And then Eli Cash just came in to say hello. He rolled past with his office chair spinning around and crashed. And he does say it's no mistake that the Ramones would do songs called I Don't Want to Grow Up and Spider-Man. You know what? Valid.
Yeah. So if you want to go back to the Dalek and the Cyberman, we had
yes.
I tried to build those for Chicago TARDIS. Like I don't like that had been my goal event. And then at like, the beginning of the month or like a few weeks before Chicago TARDIS, the beginning of November, I think, I kind of had a decisional point or like a breaking point where I was like, okay, do I try and rush this build or do I take it easy and just finish the one build? And that was the first time that I kind of had to debut just half a costume. And I've done that a few more times since then. That's kind of been my way to step back on the con crunch. Is that I always wish we could make both of our costumes with as much, effort that I want to put into it. But I also need to make sure I'm not like
there's not enough hours in the day or not enough days in the week or not enough weeks in the month to crank out two immaculate costumes at the same time. So
it just wouldn't have been possible. I would have had to sacrifice just like everything fun that I wanted to do that month. So that was kind of our compromise on that.
Fair.
It is hard to make two costumes. So yeah, sometimes that means one of them is much lower key or more spot, and some of them that means taking twice as long to make it.
Mhm.
If you are two people trying to make two costumes, but technically there are two of you, and you could split it up where like you and your partner each make your own costumes, or each responsible for that. Or you could split up the work by like different skills and materials. So Ace doesn't know how to sew yet, so I just delegate the easier other tasks.
Cutting out patterns, gluing things, spray painting things, shopping for things, all the quote unquote simple stuff when it comes to prepping for a cosplay.
That's kind of how it's like. What do you think? Like 70-30% now balance, maybe.
I think so, yeah.
Of how much work goes into it. I do a lot, especially on sewing heavy costumes. I do most of the work, and then Ace makes up for it by keeping our house in working order and doing all the dishes and things like that.
I mean, that's super helpful, though.
Mhm.
It really is.
Yeah. You can pull up more photos if you want.
Oh, yep. So.
Here's our Rapunzel and Flynn Rider. This is another store-bought costume. Or, well, the Rapunzel I'd gotten used on a Facebook group from another cosplayer. And the Flynn we put together. And that was one that's also been really wonderful for volunteering. And wonderful for cute romantic photos together.
So cute. Rapunzel is probably my favorite of the newer Disney princesses. Oh, and there we go.
Yep.
That's what we're wearing today.
So cute.
One thing, another pro and con, if there's two of you in costume together at the con, you're already navigating the whole convention together, you kind of have a built-in handler. Like, you're there to get each other ready and, like, help carry things and stuff like that. But if you're both in a really complicated costume, then you can't really be a handler for each other. Then you're kind of the blind leading the blind. So sometimes it works really well. You know, I know some cosplayers that work solo that, you know, have to make sure that they don't have any zippers up their back that they can't reach or stuff like that. And we always help each other get in and out of costumes.
Yep.
So.
That was good.
Yeah. What other questions do you have for us? Is it wrap up at 9 o'clock? Is that right?
Usually. So actually I want to go through the viewer submissions real quick. We don't have that many. So we have this is Melody, King Beast 1354, and her wife, and so cute. They're really cute.
Oh, there you got two different variations of Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah. I'm telling you, Melody loves Beauty and the Beast and loves cosplaying the Beast and just rocks it.
Nice.
And then this is Running Wind 7 and her cosplay partner, and man, I love the Ray and Leia one in the lower right corner.
I did that with my mom. I made my mom cosplay with us once.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
Well, so one time we did Ray and Leia, and then the next time I did my classic Leia, younger Leia, older Leia. And
I love that.
Yeah.
And then this is Media Rise with her cosplay partner who moved to Japan on her. How rude.
Wow. That's inconvenient. That would definitely be a con, you know, a barrier if your partner is not in close
local to you, yeah.
Every time she talks about that, I tell Curly, I was like, if you move to Japan on me, I'm gonna like fly there and drag you back or something. I don't know. But Media Rise is Andrea Starnes, who is one of our baristas, one of our
Hey.
And then this is Clyde and Ginny, who are also known as Hallway Cosplay. And they just do so many. Like they're I met them as Ma and Pa Kent at the Superman celebration. And so the one in the middle is how I met them. They were wheeling around a little or like they had built a little spaceship that Baby Clark crashed in, and carrying around Baby Clark. I had their dog. Very cute. So yeah, we are pretty close to wrap up. So I'll give you the full stage and ask you the final question. So 1 second. So what is some advice that you two would give to people who are just starting out cosplaying?
I'd say the way that we started out, which I think worked really well, is cat fight. They basically don't feel like you have to make a costume yourself. Like there's nothing wrong with buying costumes and or like putting together costumes from like different bought materials and then like maybe just making a few parts. So that was kind of what we did for a long time, was identifying a few things in the costume that we would make that you couldn't buy and then buying the rest so you didn't get overwhelmed with too many things you didn't know how to do. And then kind of building up the skills one by one. So if it's your first time working with foam, then that might be the only new thing that you do in that costume, and everything else would be skills you're confident with or things you've bought. I kind of think you don't need to reinvent the wheel all the time. If you can find patterns for stuff that you need or a really good quality replica that you can buy, then you don't need to make it harder on yourself by making everything unless it's going in a competition. So don't make it too hard on yourself or too intimidating. If you can, it should be about having fun.
Yeah, that's the classic meme of store bought is fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Again, I kind of mentioned cosplay is very welcoming community. Don't feel discouraged, anything like that. And
yeah, you don't need to compare yourself to people that have been doing it for 10 years
yes.
If you're just starting out. But yeah, the first time that I did the Janet costume, I only made the shirt because I had to buy custom fabric to make the shirt, and I had a store-bought skirt and vest. And then 2 years later, when I wanted to wear it again, I made the vest because I had more sewing skills and felt like I could make the vest. But at first, I just used whatever I could find on Amazon, and it was recognizable enough. You don't need to get bogged down in the details either. Just focus on what would make it recognizable, what would make it fun, and just be who you want to be.
I think my thing is be willing to make friends, be willing to put yourself out there. You're in a community that embraces the same hobbies, same interests. It's really easy to just go up to someone and be like, hey, I really like your costume. How'd you make it? What is it made of? How do you relate to this character? What are you working on next? And before you know it, before you know it,
don't bombard someone with all those questions.
But before you know it, you'll have so many new friends, new interests. It's just a very great community. I mean, we were outside. We felt like we were outside for so long. We only just interacted with each other. But the moment we started joining the community, it just opened up so many doors and so many fun, unique situations and interactions and just great friendships all around.
Yeah. Make friends and have fun.
Yep.
Perfect. That is great advice. And if people want to follow you, where can they find you?
So I put it on the little bottom corner of the screen here. It's that's.so.cosplay on Instagram and TikTok. But I don't check TikTok as much. So Instagram is our primary public page.
Yep, we share that same
one
Instagram account. Yep.
And our Facebook accounts we usually only accept from people that we've met in person. So start with the Instagram.
Perfect. And if people want to follow me, they can check the Cosplay Cafe podcast accounts on Instagram and Facebook, or Phoenix Sis Entertainment, pretty much everywhere. Thank you both for tuning in. This was a fantastic episode. Thank you everyone at home for watching, and I hope everyone has a great weekend.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you about this. You think I should make it a panel?
I think you should. Yeah, it has my vote. What do you all think? Give us a thumbs up.
All right. Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting us onto this. This was really fun.
This was great. You both are great guests. Thank you.